we go.
All right. Welcome. It's an exciting time of the year for baseball players. It was yesterday was kind of an opening, first team practice for us. Everybody's excited. Jump on the field. Here at Mississippi State, you get pretty excited because that's the day we start moving into the rigs. So not only is the team out there, but your fans start moving in. They're excited to bring in all their stuff, and it's just it's a fun day for us, and it'll be like that all weekend. I'm sure we'll have a ton of fans in the park, and if you don't know already, we have probably the best fans in college baseball, so we enjoy seeing them out there. It's been a great off season for our guys. I'm proud of them. We just finished a semester with over a 3.2 GPA. A lot of credit goes to our academic coach, Amanda Seifert, but we had 30 out of 38 guys over a 3.0. And I know we talk about all their baseball talent, but we got a special group of guys. Friday nights, they've been out in the Challenger Leagues. They're out in the community. Just a special group of kids that we have, and I credit that to the kids, but also our coaching staff. Jake Gotro, National Assistant Coach of the Year. Scott Foxhall, National Teaching Pro of the Year. So we surrounded these guys with some special people, and then all our staff. We just go, right now we've come out and spent a long time in the weight room, and hopefully we're pretty strong right now, and we're in shape and healthy and ready to go. We've been ranked from 4 to about 15 in the country, and I think everybody's about right because we have some really good players and we have some really big holes. So if we can fill those holes and find the guys to play in those spots, which I think we have, then I think we have a chance to have a very special team.
With that,
Questions?
Questions?
Hey Chris, last year I'm sure you knew a good bit of what to expect, coming to Mississippi State, but you got a chance to be around this fan base and kind of see the passion that's around it, especially in the super regional and all of that. But what was your thoughts on your first season? What did you kind of take away of being around this program as the head coach for a year?
And like you said, I had a pretty good idea, but when you walk out of that tunnel the first night, you realize, oh, this is special. This is a little different. And then as the year went on, there was just so many. Jake Mangum gets the big hit, and it's a crazy day at the ballpark. And then you have your regional, and then, the ninth inning of that super regional, just some special moments in my career, like things that I couldn't imagine, going through. But it's more the relationship piece. Seeing somebody in town, going to speak at a luncheon. Yesterday, greeting. I always take time out of practice. Even in the middle of practice, I walk through the rigs, and I learned the story of one tortilla grill yesterday. Just one of the, of why I asked them why they call it this. And so it's just the history here is huge, and the passion is huge. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to year 2.
When you talk to your players this offseason, do they have anything to say about how nice it was to have continuity, to have the same coaching staff for an offseason for a change?
They don't say it. They would never tell me that. So, but I think it is. I think also the ballpark, right? Like this time last year, we still weren't moved in. And so dressing across campus, walking here, going through construction, I think having, the same coaching staff and also the same, just having everything in-house. And in-house here is so nice that they have such an easy place to work out in and accessible from a facility standpoint.
Chris, obviously, anytime replacing guys like Jake or Elijah, how have you seen guys kind of adjust to that leadership role, whether it's Westy or Foskey or JT or any of those guys?
I think we've seen that this fall. We're still working on it. A team at this point really hasn't gone through too much adversity. Usually when you have adversity is when you see those guys stand up. And our group's great. The Westies, the Foskews, the JTs, they work, they get after it every day, they lead in that world. But we haven't hit adversity yet, and we will. No matter how good we want to be, when you play in the SEC West, you're getting punched in the nose at some point. And, our strength and our culture, will be a big part of how we fight through that. But I'm excited for those guys. Jordan Westberg and Justin Foskews and Tanner Allens, Rowdy Jordan. These guys have played a lot of college baseball at a high level, and I feel good about where we're at. It's just hard to replace those. The Jake Mangum and the Ethan Small, those two dynamics are hard to, not just their numbers, also their personalities.
Luke Hancock didn't have a whole lot of opportunities behind the plate last year. How do you feel about him taking over that role, and how do you feel about the catcher position?
It's good. I'm excited about Luke. Luke's caught JT since he was about 14, I think. So they've been together a long time. Luke's a pretty steady personality back there. Logan Tanner is another guy coming up that I think he was rated maybe one of the better catchers in the country coming in. So we feel like we'll have, a good spot there. And then Austin Kelly backing them up. So we feel good about it. I'll be honest with you, I was more worried about catching last year at this point, and Dustin Skelton ends up having one of the better seasons, behind the plate of anybody in the country. So, I give a lot of credit to Kyle Cheeseborough, our catching coach, but also to those guys and their work ethic, and, hopefully we'll see the same thing with Lou.
You mentioned Dustin's year kind of coming from out of nowhere. A few guys in that bullpen last year kind of came from out of nowhere too. Colby White and Jared Lebel kind of stepped up and stuff. Who's this year's Colby White, Jared Lebel, the guys nobody's really talking about that we may see this year?
We got a couple of special guys back there. We have a lot of depth, trying to figure out, and here you got to figure out who can run out between the lines and compete and throw strikes in front of big crowds and pressure situations. But, we have a kid, Carlisle Kostler, who was a transfer. Feels like he's 30 years old. I think he's only 24. But he's been through a lot of college baseball, and he was the closer at Hines Community College. He was the Friday night guy at Southeastern Louisiana. He's done it. He's been there. He has good stuff. He has a maturity. I think he's a swing guy for us because he could start for us too. We have a couple freshman guys. Landon Sims through yesterday. Really polished, big-time recruit coming in. The left-handed piece, Jared Schimpfer, Jack Egan, Houston Harding. We need to find a good left-handed piece. That's where Tristan Barlow for us was huge for us, especially early last year. But it's going to be by committee a little bit. We have a handful of JUCO arms that we brought in that'll give us a chance too. Chase Patrick, Jackson Forrester, just some of those names that we feel like we have some depth there. So it'll be a lot of matchup probably. Probably won't be one guy like Cole, like we had last year.
In that same vein, starting pitching, you have a lot of talent there. It seems like some guys competing there, but some unknowns too. I mean, obviously JT pitched most of last year, got kind of tired at the end of the year. But what's your thoughts on what you're going to be having on the mound there in that regard, and the inexperience that some of those guys have?
We have a chance to have a dynamic pitching staff, but a couple of them haven't done it yet. And that's the piece that we have to find out what happens between the lines. We all know JT. We feel like we can go Friday night with anybody in the country with JT. But Christian McLeod is a guy who we loved last year. Had to redshirt because of an illness and is back. And we feel like he has a chance to be one of the better number twos out there in the country. We felt that way last year, and we didn't get to have him. That was that left-hander we needed, most of last year. And then Eric Sarantolis had a really good spring training. If he figures it out, he's a first-rounder type of guy. I mean, his stuff, we've seen it. SEC tourney, he was 96, 98. Now, in a starting role, he's not throwing that hard, but we feel like he has a chance. And then we have Kostler. We have a freshman, Davis Rokos, who has a chance to be really good. But we'd kind of like to slot him in easily as time goes on, let him get his feet wet. But we have a couple really good options there.
Obviously, this team has had a lot of success in the College World Series. How much pressure is on the team and yourself to get back to Omaha this year?
It's always there. When you say yes to come to Mississippi State as a player, as a coach, it's not just getting to Omaha. It is trying to win Omaha. It's just not, and it's so hard to get there. That's what people don't realize all the time. Sometimes when you get there, it's probably easier in some ways, but matching up right, getting there, staying healthy all year is a big piece. But it's expected in this program. It's just one of those things. It's when you come here and when you look around, you see these facilities. Much is given, much is expected. So we understand that, and the ball club understands it.
You do have a couple of veterans in that bullpen with Riley Self and Spencer Price. What do you expect from them this season?
Yeah, that'll be a big piece for us. I mean, and seeing how they pitch here over the next 3 weeks. So I'd love to be able to get those guys back in the mix and have their experience and maturity with everything. Spencer had an okay fall. Riley didn't pitch this fall, so us seeing them, this spring, be a big piece for us. I mean, I trusted last year. Riley was my guy in the middle of the inning, outside of Jared Lebel. I felt like just the toughness factor with Riley being able to go out there and get outs was huge for us. And Spence getting back in the mix, finding his confidence, and being able to find that slider. So,
Coach, one young guy that's been mentioned a lot that's expected to contribute early is Logan Tanner. Since he's been here, what has he shown you, and what's most impressed you about him?
Logan Tanner?
Yes, sir.
He's a very talented kid. His first pitch he threw here was 97, and then I think he walked the bases loaded. But he has a chance to be a special player on both sides of the ball. he is an advanced catcher, and that's where we're probably going to use him mostly this year. Great hip flexibility, ankle mobility. Sits in there and catches. I'm watching him yesterday, and he catches the low ball as good as any young catcher I've ever seen. And then he has the arm strength behind the plate. The knock on him coming in was he was a very average hitter. Probably is why he didn't go out of high school. And to this point of the year, he has been really good offensively for us. If you come out and watch State BP, he is strong, and there's balls going out of the stadium. I mean, every field. He hit some hit balls off the eye drop, out the left, out the right. He's just got a lot of strength to him. So you'll see him a lot this year. And over his career, you'll probably see him on the bump too.
Chris, that midweek role, you guys played around with it a lot, and obviously settled Peyton in at the number 3, kind of after the Governor's Cup series. How much do you anticipate sort of playing around with that and figuring out that spot, at least in the early going of the season, and kind of using that as a way to kind of figure out where you're at on that back end of the rotation?
Well, I hope I don't have to figure it out too much. I'm hoping as we lay it out, those guys stay in there. But we have a couple early in the year. We play 5 games in a week twice, and that's where you're trying to figure out, some extra guys and get some guys, some extra work and seeing who can do what. Because we have so many we have 23 new guys in the program, so trying to figure out our arms is huge. But hopefully, we settle into some guys, and then sometimes your midweek's just a by committee game, right? So you're 2 guys here, 2 innings here, 3 innings there. So I don't get too consumed, with the midweeks. It's nice when you have one, and you have that guy every midweek, and he's rolling. But even last year we didn't really settle on a midweek guy, and we bounced around all year, and we had a lot of success. We were really good at coming back from 4-0 or 7-0 last year early in the game. Let's give a credit to our offense, but our pen, I'm more concerned about building that pen right now. Our pen was the reason we were very successful last year.
When you look around the field, it kind of seems like left field and third base might be the 2 spots that are kind of the most up for grabs right now. How do you kind of see those 2 spots shaking out? Who's kind of some of the favorites there?
Well, I'm excited. We have some talent in both spots. It's inexperienced. And I don't know if we're going to have to play one guy. Is one guy going to play third base all year? I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit by committee. Same with left field. We did that with Josh Hatcher and some of those guys last year and matched them up, and we're able to get more success because we do have a couple in left field. Bryce Brock, and he's been a nice surprise. Drew McGowan, a young kid for us. Hunter French has been one, and then we just got Brad Cumbas from football. So Brad's very talented, just kind of getting back and getting his feet wet. So I think out there having 2 lefts and 2 rights that we can use and work there is huge. And you may see us play 3 guys in a game, right? I mean, it may be a situation where all 3 are playing. Third base is kind of the same. I mean, Cameron James, a chance to be a really, really good player, but so does Landon Jordan and Noah Fondren and Mason Land and Tanner Leggett. I mean, we have some nice depth to this ball club, a little more than we had last year. So matching guys up, putting them in the right scenarios. If a guy's playing bad, I feel like I have another guy to put out there. But defense is going to be the key in those spots. I mean, I've harped on those outfielders because I think infield defense we're better than we were last year. Now that we've made the Foscue move and everything else, and Josh Hatcher playing first is a really good first baseman. And third, I think third we can be better defensively. Outfield defense has me, that's what we're spending a lot of time right now. We're just so good with Jake, and then we've moved Rowdy over. Rowdy's a great center fielder, but I had a center fielder playing left last year, so it's kind of all the way across the board.
Hey Chris, you talked about the expectation at Mississippi State getting to Omaha, but you take away the name and the logo, and you just look at your personnel and chemistry. How would you assess, where this team is at? Does it look like it has the makings of a team that can do what you guys did last year and make that run?
I think so. I mean, I think, like I said, there's just some unknowns for us right now. Starting rotation, bullpen, couple spots, but we had the same questions last year, and I have a lot of trust in our staff. Not just in developing them, but we have one of the top recruiting classes in the country that just came in. So it's a short window here because most kids don't spend 4 years. So developing guys and getting the next guy ready is huge. But I think we have that type of ball club. I mean, we have 4 guys. Like I said, we have 4, and really we have 5 in our lineup with Josh Hatcher. I mean, Josh Hatcher from last summer to now may be the most impressive guy we've had. Not to put pressure on him, but he's just been really good in everything he's done. And I think we have 5 guys that have played a ton of college baseball from an offensive standpoint. Give us a shot to go out there and compete every day.
Does this team have an identity yet, or is that something you have to get in a few games to kind of develop?
Yeah, I think we have. I think that's one of my biggest question marks. I mean, we're still trying to figure that out. You know, we had such an identity last year. Obviously, Jake probably brings a little bit of that. We're still fighting in that piece because some of my older guys, Jordan Westberg, works as hard, plays as hard as anybody, but he's normally a pretty quiet kid. You know, where Jake was not, and Elijah. I mean, Cole Gordon. We lost some real personalities on that team last year, which was a lot of fun to coach. But I think you'll see some other ones blossom, and I don't think we have our identity yet. Hopefully it's just, man, those guys play hard. That's what I'd like. Somebody comes and watch us play. Man, Mississippi State plays hard. That's the biggest one for us right now.
Chris, you got a long list of things I'm sure you want to get done, but what is the one thing that you feel like you've got to get accomplished, if not in the next 3 weeks before opening day, but soon thereafter?
I just think lining out this pitching staff, getting everybody their innings right now, keeping everybody healthy, getting into that opening weekend. I think that's a big piece for us. I mean, especially we're not used to too much cold weather, so getting through this time of year and getting guys their innings, for me, is the biggest piece, because the more innings we get, the more at-bats we get, and guys are ready. But I just really like to come out of spring training with a healthy team. That's the biggest thing you're trying to fight. And our system's in. Most of our guys know it. We've spent a lot of time working at it. I feel pretty confident there, but getting all those innings to the right spot.
Take two more.
Coach, you talk about health. I know JT had some arm issues last season. What kind of off season did he have? Did you see him getting stronger, and what kind of do you think there'll be any lingering problems on that end?
No, he pitched yesterday, and he was really good, especially for the conditions that we had. I think the biggest learning piece for JT was, as well, going through the SEC. I got to prepare myself, my mind. I also have to prepare my body. And JT's done a great job with that. He looks in the best shape he's ever been. He works. He loves this game. He's getting after it. And I think he's more mentally prepared of what he has to do. And he actually got up and spoke to a lot of our younger pitchers and said, hey, this is the game itself isn't any different. It's just going out there, pitching on a weekend night, and the atmosphere and the strain on you, I think, is the biggest thing that JT learned. But very special player, special makeup. Looking forward to watching him pitch this year.
We'll give the last one to Tyler on the left.
Kind of going off of that, you mentioned personalities, and JT kind of has a little bit of that. What does it do for the rest of the guys to have somebody who's already been a first-round draft pick and is slated to be one of the best pitchers in the country probably? What does it do for the guys to look at that and know that this guy has our back and he's going to do everything that we need him to do?
Yeah, I mean, he's just he's got that air about him, and hopefully that's where the confidence comes from. I mean, Ethan Small had it last year. Ethan's kind of that Friday night guy, that lead duck, and everybody follows along right behind him. You got a special personality there, and JT probably does have more of it than anybody in our program. And I think I've been proud of him in the fact that even as a sophomore, he's really not that old, but he's taken a real leadership position on our pitching staff, especially with our younger guys. And when he talks, man, guys listen. I mean, they are tuned in to what he's saying and understand what he's gone through already to prepare themselves. But he's a huge piece. I mean, when I look up at us and say, hey, I think we can do special things, he's one of the big reasons, because you got to match up on Friday night, and we can do that with JT.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you all.